Well, hello, everyone. Today, I have decided to share something super personal about my journey to mediumship and how I discovered my divine purpose in my path. Hello, everyone. Today, I have decided to share something deeply personal, my journey into mediumship and how I discovered my divine purpose. My path was not linear or easy. But every step did bring me closer to alignment with my soul. And my hope is that by sharing my story, you'll see that no matter where you are in your journey, the universe is always guiding you towards your highest good. So let's start at the beginning. I have not always known that I was guided by spirit. Although as a child, I always felt safe and protected no matter what I was doing. I knew that I was meant for something big, but really, the truth is when you're out of alignment, even that inner knowing, it can feel buried under the weight of reality. So for years, I really allowed myself to live in torment. I was in a really poor relationship, an 8-year-long relationship, struggling to support a partner who was battling a very severe drug addiction, pouring every ounce of myself into keeping them alive. I never stopped to consider myself. I never stopped to consider my own needs, my dreams, my spirit. I didn't even think about my spirit, didn't even know spirit existed at that time. And it all came to a head when I hit my breaking point and I attempted to unalive myself. And thanks to my spirit allies and my ancestors, I know now it did not work. But that moment changed everything for me. It forced me to realize that I had been letting my external circumstances dictate my reality. I was living somebody else's story, and it was time to start writing my own. And so I was angry. I was angry at my partner who was supposed to love and support me. And I was angry at myself for staying in that situation for so long. But that anger turned into a catalyst. And slowly I started to take my life back. I got my things together and I ended up leaving. And then something really incredible happened. The universe stepped in to support me in ways that I could have never even imagined. I found the perfect apartment that allowed me and my Akita to go in, even though his breed is always restricted. We were free. And for the first time in years, I could just breathe. I remember sitting on my balcony for weeks after that, playing the ukulele and singing and dancing in there. And I really I didn't even own any furniture. I had a bed on the floor and a bookshelf, and I was just in pure bliss. But a year after that, I was in much better space. Life was amazing, but over time, I did become a little bit complacent. I lived in my apartment. I loosened my boundaries because I was kind of lonely and I started to feel heavy again. I had surrounded myself with icky friends and icky people again and icky situations. And I didn't make the connection that I had surrounded myself with recurrent, karmic energies, is what we refer to them as at the time. But now I can see that from a higher perspective. But one day, a friend had given me a gift and I put it on the shelf, and it was this oversized tarot deck. And I just didn't use it because it was like a color your own deck. And I didn't want to color it because it took a really time to color the one deck. And I have OCD a little bit, not really, but only one card was colored. So I didn't want to use the deck until it was colored, and it took too long to color. Anyway, long story short. So I didn't use this deck for a really long time. But one day I was called to use the deck, right? And I started using it. I used it on a friend and it was really accurate. So I did a reading for myself and it was kind of interesting. And then I did the reading a week later, I did another reading for myself and it was the same reading as the last one. And I was like, oh, well, that was weird. So then I did another reading for myself and it was the same reading as the last one. And I was like, well, that's kind of freaky. And so I scrambled the cards and then I did it again. And it was the same reading. And so I was like, okay, well, you can't deny that I'm being guided towards something here. And the reading was just really telling me to get a handle on my emotions, is what it was, and to release what no longer served me. So the curiosity of getting the same reading over and over led me to a metaphysical supply store where I found a smaller, more practical deck that I could practice with. And while I was there, I felt drawn to a book. And I don't know why at the time, but it turned out I didn't know why at that time, but it turned out to be exactly what I needed. And everything in my life is like that now. But it helped me create my first intentional ritual to connect with my grandma. It had a ritual in it about Samhain and the veil being closest. And then I did a bunch of research and I set up my own personal ritual to try and connect with my grandmother's spirit, who had passed about 8 years before that. So I poured myself into preparing for this ritual. I researched, I planned, I worked up the courage to actually give it a try. And before I even started, I went to a tarot reader for confirmation or maybe validation that I was ready to do this. And they did. She gave me confirmation. She said it was going to be successful. I was going to get something unexpected out of it, and also some other information that we'll come to later. So then when the time came, I sat down, I made my space safe, I did all my protections, I set the ritual. And at first I didn't connect with my mama. Instead, another energy came through. And by process of elimination, I deduced that it was a brother of my grandfather on my father's side and someone who was estranged from the family because of something to do with relationship. Mind you, I'm working with yes or no questions in a tarot deck. So it's very difficult for somebody who's very new. But I was certain that I was connected to somebody and that these were the answers that were coming through. So then I was like, oh, well, you're not who I'm trying to connect with, but maybe you can get the person I'm trying to connect with. Can you go get my grandmother's spirit? And this energy said, absolutely. And so it didn't do it though. And so I was like, okay, go do it. And then it went and it got it. I asked if she would tell me when she connected. She connected me. I instantly knew that it was her. It was a knowing. And then we communicated via yes or no questions and also with the tarot deck. After our conversation, which I got to tell you, when you connect to somebody that you really cared about the first time as in a mediumship situation and you really connect to them, it's very emotional. I almost was lost for words. I didn't know what to ask her whenever it happened. And I was a little bit stunned and I didn't believe that it was really happening while it was happening. But it did. So afterwards, I called my mom to ask her about the first spirit and say, who was this person? And do we know this person? She wasn't familiar with that energy. I didn't even know if my grandpa had a brother, let alone if they were dead. She was estranged from my father, so I don't know. And I am too. So I didn't know at the time. But we talk about her mom and the messages that came through. And then we get off the phone. But the following day, she gives me a call and she says, hey, I looked into our family tree and there were two brothers that died. One was named one thing and one was this other person. I won't go into personal details, but the first one was a child whenever he died. But the second one was estranged from the family due to some sort of relationship issue that was knowledge in the family or whatever. And I was like, okay, so that was like real information that came through. And I was shocked at myself. And I was like, okay, maybe something is real here, right? So then the synchronicities started happening, right? I felt her love so strongly. And my grandmother's message was simple. It was time to give and receive. And she's loved me and she was proud of me. And it was time to learn how to do this. And I closed that session knowing that this was changing, right? And after that, the synchronicity is really like everywhere, right? The universe was guiding me towards mediumship and I started listening. And one day I was doing a spiritual bath, which I highly recommend if you haven't started. I highly, highly recommend you do spiritual baths for meditation. I meditated on my purpose and I asked the universe to show me how I could serve humanity. And in an instant, it was like a switch flipped. And I really truly meant it. When I say that I asked that, like from the bottom of my heart, I felt from my deepest being like, this is what I want to do, is to help people navigate this existence. You know, if there's a way to make people's lives better, then that's what I want to do. I want to serve. And in an instant, like I said, the switch was flipped and my clairsenses, the ability to see, hear, feel, taste, smell, spirit opened wide up. And it was super overwhelming. And I didn't know what was happening at first. And I thought that I lost my mind. But I spent the next couple of months in solitude, researching and learning to trust myself and really, truly learning to love myself for the first time. And that is such a key element of spiritual communication. And it's as the veil is lifted, you have to be able to trust yourself to know which messages are right for your alignment. And the veil lifts up and then I could suddenly see how connected we all are to spirit and to one another. And as I grew stronger in my connection, I started craving community again, but struggled with protecting my energy. And I was feeling isolated and I was truly isolating myself because I didn't want to absorb other people's energy or give away my precious energy that I was cultivating as well was part of it. And one day I was just like, I need to get out of the house. Like I haven't been in the house for too long. I have to get out here. So I get on my phone and I see that there is a Body, Mind, and Spirit Expo. Weird. It's not weird because the universe hooks us up like this, right? I was like, oh, cool. Maybe I'll get there. I'll go see like-minded people, right? I go there. I decided to go to some keynote speakers because I'm still learning. I'm new to this stuff. I want to check it out, right? I go to some keynote speakers. The first one is this Native American man who is teaching about animal totems. Very informative, very helpful, wonderful man. I spoke with him later. After that was a shaman who taught about energy work, really amazing. And in that one, I was just in such a high vibration that I carried that energy into the next one, which was a psychic medium. And she was talking about the steps to becoming a psychic medium and what it takes. And at the end of the session, I was just sitting there just vibing, right? Just happy as a clam. And she comes up to me and she says, my spirit told me that I need to give you, I need to give you a gift because you were radiating such positivity. And she hands me a gift bag. And I go to, in the gift bag is a product that she sells and also a 15-minute free session at her booth at the expo downstairs. So I go to another session and then I end up going down to her reading. And in that reading, she ends up being a teacher. And in that session, she becomes my teacher. And after that session, I go through 3 certifications with her. And the universe gave me scholarships for 2 of those certifications. We have been rocking and rolling since then. I thought that I was just going there to get a reading and maybe get some spiritual coaching. Now I'm a full-blown, like, open to spirit, open to all different energies on the other plane of the highest and greatest good, of course. And even open to the Akashic records now, which I didn't even know were a thing whenever I started. And the universe just leads you to your path whenever you ask really deeply, truly to be on it. And I really want to share that with you. So if you're feeling lost or out of alignment, just know that your path is unfolding in divine timing. Trust the process, trust yourself, and never forget how deeply supported you are. So thank you so much for letting me share my story with you. And if this resonates, just let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about your own journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need a reminder that they're not alone. And until next time, trust your light and keep shining. And if you'd like to book your own personal sacred insight session, then my website is below. Talk to you next time.